Welcome to the Divine Feminines podcast and channel. I'm your host, Steph Desar, and in today's episode, I'm talking how you can exude your unique femininity. Now, before I get started, don't forget to like and subscribe this channel with the Divine Feminines on YouTube and all major podcast platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, Google, and you can also catch us on social media. It's Divine Feminines with a Z at the end, and that's on Instagram and TikTok. Why like and subscribe this channel? Well, we drop so many great pieces of content. Every Friday there's an episode for you on mind, body, soul empowerment, high vibrational soul connections, the twin flame journey, moon manifestation, moon magic, portal updates, which are bonus pieces that are only available on YouTube. So before I get started, I just want to say welcome to all those that are new to this channel and new to this podcast, and welcome to my returning, big warm welcome back to my returning guests. I want to also give a shout out to everyone that has attended some of our events that have taken place in London. It was a big ambition of mine to start doing in-person events and to really just take this podcast into the more sort of in-person experience. And so we've had 2 events so far. The full moon in Aries that just happened not long ago, and we did that in London in a beautiful Bedouin tent, and we had a really sacred intimate space. And we did a new moon event in Leo back in the summer, and that was incredible. And we also were tapping in to the Lionsgate portal in the Leo season, and recently to the 1010 portal. So I'm looking forward to doing more of these events, and we are going to be traveling around the world. So we hope to visit a place near you sometime soon. So how to exude your unique femininity? Well, if you've been listening to this podcast and been tuning into the other episodes, I've talked about how to balance your masculine with your feminine energy, the sort of traits of dark feminine, what is feminine energy, how to connect with it. But connecting with your feminine energy is also very important here, but I really want to explore how you can exude it, how you can embody it, and it just be a vibration, a presence, an essence of you, your femininity. Now, first, before I go into how to exude it, I want to just recap because, some of you might have not listened to some of the other episodes, but just as a way of sort of setting the scene on this, what is feminine energy? And today I want to describe it as the ocean. The ocean is vast. It is untamable. It is a powerful force. It has high tides, low tides. It has depth. It has cold waters, warm waters, fierce waters, calm waters. And that's very much like feminine energy. Feminine energy cannot just be contained as just calm and peaceful and dainty and cute, because at the same time as it being peaceful, beautiful and serene, and that beautiful translucent like water and that beautiful image of the water just settling in those ripple effects, in contrast to that and in polar opposite, in polarity and duality, the opposite to that is fierceness, strong tides, strong waves, so strong and so fierce that it can actually take life away. Not saying that, well, yes, we all have the ability to do something like that, but it is the extreme opposite. And that is really feminine energy. It's allowing the here and now, being that ocean, the ocean that has so much depth, the ocean that, expands all time and presence and transcends everything, because it is just itself and it embodies what it is at that very given moment, whether it's high or low. Feminine energy isn't an energy that's all about being happy and sweet and calm and peaceful, because that's not life, and that's not what feminine energy is. It goes with the flow. Very much it goes with the flow. So the flow of the ocean may be fierce one day. It may be super calm the next day. It may not even have any waves the day after that. Who knows? It may have a really low tide, and some days it might have a lot of shrapnel in the sea, lots of seaweed. So I hope that gives you an understanding of feminine energy. It's about the depth. It's about the intuitive waters. It's about the flow, but it's also about the fierceness, the strength, the force of what it can be, as well as the calmness of and tranquility of what it can be too, and the ability to body both. Now, feminine energy, just like the ocean, allows all of those parts to come to the surface. There is no sort of, hey, here's me in this part, and look at me, Steph, on this podcast. But that's all you're ever going to see. You're not going to see the Steph that has, a love for music and dances around like a crazy woman, or the Steph that, has this very leadership structured way to her that you may see when she's at work. She's not always like that at work, because she's fun at work and she's loving and caring at work. But there's different sides to us. I have many different personas. I have many different dimensions to myself. We are all multidimensional. And so feminine energy allows us, being in our feminine energy allows us to really showcase that authentic dimensional being that we are, and shows it in our being. So if you are focused in being present and being you and just being there, whatever day, moment, time that is, you are showing up as you're meant to at that moment in time. Whatever dimension, whatever angle of your personality or your characteristics are coming out, you are being authentic, and you are wholeheartedly showing yourself in a vulnerable state as well. And I'll come on to sort of the connection with vulnerability, but that plays a massive role in this. Now, you are masculine and you're feminine, right? And you guys know this if you've been listening to a lot of what I've been talking about in previous episodes. And yes, it's important for us to acknowledge our masculine, but if you are, let's take myself as an example, I'm a female, but I have a feminine soul as my dominant sort of force, right? So I have masculine and feminine energy within me, but I resonate with being a more feminine soul at the core, right? Now, if I resonate with being a more feminine soul at the core, my true authenticity and my truth is going to be more about expressing that side of me. Not that I won't express my masculine or, exude certain masculine traits or demonstrate them, but the core of me will be more dominant on the feminine, and that will be the more overt, more expressive side of me. Now, if I hold that back, I'm not really being true to myself. I'm actually creating a distortion and being more in my masculine, and that can obviously have a massive impact. Now, in order to actually embody your feminine energy, you can't be stressed out. You can't be, because you're supposed to just be yourself and be present. So if you're stressed out, if you're all over the place, if you're feeling really anxious, if you're, we all have emotions. So you can be emotional. You can have like down days. You can have moments where you're crying. We all need to go through that. That's life. Like, you're not supposed to be happy all the freaking time. It's just not the way it's meant to be, right? And a lot of people think, oh, spirituality and positivity, you got to be happy all the time, and that's a toxic positivity. It's not true, because positivity understands the essence of duality, understands that you will have, even if at the core, let's take myself again as an example, at the core I am a very peaceful, happy, content, fulfilled person, soul. But I'll have moments where I might just have some emotions and I feel quite deep about them and I'll cry. Or I have a moment where I'm a bit frustrated because something's not quite fair. And that, I see that as, oh, that's not playing out in a fair way, or that's affecting someone. That's not very nice. And it might frustrate me for a moment. But, I know how to embrace it and let it go. Now, if we're constantly in a stress mode and we're constantly in this kind of, our cup is not full and we're still trying to fill our cup, or not even trying to fill our cup, but still do stuff for others, people please, all of that other stuff, and that's quite distorted feminine energy. We're not going to be in the position of being in center to be able to exude or reflect, emanate that feminine energy, right? So, you have different flavors of feminine energy within you. And these flavors are different parts of you that men love, for all my women out there, because it's the uniqueness of you, tasting different flavors of you as a woman, you're experiencing your different angles, but others can see that in you, whether it's a man or a woman. But men, particularly, if it's a man that resonates with being a masculine dominant soul, then naturally he is going to be attracted to the dominant feminine soul and the authenticity of that soul and its energy and its reflection outwards to them. So, it feels like infinity, to embody different parts of you, doesn't it? But if someone told you that you could be anything you want to for a day, that you could feel anything you want and not be penalized for it, would you go there? Like, just really enjoying. I do some of the most craziest things, and I think one of the things I'll say personally is what's allowed me to really, really be in my feminine is connecting to my inner child, because I make sure that I'm giving real fulfillment and connection to my inner child. I make sure little Steph's having fun. As long as little Steph's having fun and feels loved and feels protected and is able to just kind of wander and do what, she wants to do, then Big Steph is kind of like, yeah, we've got this fulfillment feeling. And then, we're going to have to, be a bit adult in some areas. But the core of it, there is an essence of fun and joy and just being free and being wild. And when I say being free, I don't mean, oh, you don't have kids and you don't have responsibilities and you can just get up. I mean, being free within, like that free comes from within. Peace comes from within. Happiness comes from within. It's not, oh, I'm free because I have a passport and I can travel. I'm free because I'm not in jail, right? You get that, right? It's not the 3D sense of free. It's a feeling energetically of free, because you're free to feel, believe, be who and what you want to be. And you can change your mind and do it at any point in time and continue to do that, right? So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, it would make you feel so free if you could just be yourself, right? And just really, and not care. Sometimes I'll say the most, before I'd be a bit conscious, like if I'd say something that I felt was right, and then others would say, oh my God, I can't believe you said that, or that's not even funny, or whatever. Then I'd be really conscious about what I said and why I said it, and oh my God, I can't do that again. But that was the truth of what I wanted to say, and that's me. So why am I holding back? Unless I'm offending someone and it's outrageously rude and just uncalled for, right? Put that aside. Yeah, those things are not cool, but why am I trying to do that? So it's about really, really being your truth. Now, when you're in denial about certain things in your life or changes you want to make, you can also emanate a falseness to yourself, like because things are not going your way, or you know that you're being called for change or you're being called to step into your power more, but there is a level of fear, or you're just kind of still stuck in your comfort zone. You're not going to be able to step into your real feminine energy, because why? Because you're not being true to yourself, right? So it all comes down to truth. So I ultimately would say that in order to really exude your femininity, there is an essence of truth at the core. If you're in your truth at the core and it's heart-centered, heart space centered, then you are going to really naturally be in your feminine and it will exude. But how do you give it off? How do you give off that energy? Well, it's not like, oh, one day you just say, oh, I'm just going to give it off today because I'm going to do these things. That sounds a bit manipulative. It sounds a bit controlling. But it's a process of learning to be seen and appreciated, right? For your feminine soul. And when you're feeling seen and appreciated for your feminine soul, you'll start to really ease into it and slide into it more and really flow with it and actually enjoy it Feminine energy wants to be seen. At the core of us, for those that are resonating with being a feminine soul more dominantly, feminine energy is light. It is light, it is love. And what does light need? It needs to be seen, it needs to shine, it needs to be there. At the forefront, it needs to get noticed. So, ultimately, there is an essence, a real strong connection to being seen and to being appreciated, and to allow for that to occur, to receive the appreciation, to receive the acknowledgement, the recognition, and being seen. Whereas the masculine energy would not do that, but would go and actually do things to get the attention or to finish a task, it's more of a doer energy to get the recognition. Whereas the feminine will just be and then be recognized for being who she is. Now, we need both, don't get me wrong, like I've always said this, right? Yeah, sometimes we've got to get stuff done. But unfortunately, because of the way the world has kind of evolved, the feminines were suppressed. I've talked about this on other episodes, I'm not going to go into loads of detail. And there has been a lot of, constant and consistent efforts from feminine movements to really bring about more balance, more favor, and opportunity to the feminines. But one thing I'm not about, and I'll say this very clearly and candidly on this episode and this podcast, and I'll continue to say it, is I'm not a feminine, sort of feminist, sorry. And I'm not going to be like, oh, female rights and all that. Yes, I do believe that we do, but I believe that we need to work with the masculine. We need to work with the true, authentic masculine beings out here as well, because they're our absolute gift and they do exist. And there's also masculine souls that are doing the work. And I believe that we need to work together to create that new earth blueprint, right? If we're doing it completely as a woman's movement by itself, we create more separation. And that's the problem where we came from. But we are all one and we're all interconnected. I am you and you are me, right? So I bow to the God in you and you bow to the God in me. Namaste. So I want to just want to kind of make sure I got that point across. But it's hard to tell many women to do these things these days. To tell the average woman that the skills that she's worked for and all of those like great traits where she had to go and fight to get that position at work or learn these sort of skills and kind of go and negotiate and kind of really kind of go to battle a bit to get known. You can't really like turn around and say, oh, well, all of that stuff you was doing, or, it got you really far, but stop doing it. Just like, stop doing it. Just be you. And that's the way to do it now. It's kind of a bit crazy, right? A lot of women would be like, excuse me? No, that's all I ever known. Because that's where a lot of the, going to fight to get that justice feminines were kind of very much in their masculine, but we need to start to understand, and this is why I'm here, and I'm literally living this narrative right now, is this is what I do. I exude a lot of feminine energy. I am very much been doing a lot of work, and I naturally do emanate a feminine energy, and I'm seeing the value and I'm seeing the results for it. And it's not easy. It's taken me some time. It's taken a lot of healing, but it's also taken practice, and it's an always on kind of vulnerability, or openness, open-mindedness, open-heartedness to be in that way of living and being. So yeah, it is pretty hard to just say, stop doing what you're doing. And that doesn't really matter, but you just kind of need to be in this feminine receiving mode, right? But it's not that your skills have no value, right? Everything that you've learned, they are absolutely important. They are emanating masculine energy, but it's not that you can't use it. But just in the world of romance, emotional attraction, and sexual attraction with men, they mean very little, because naturally the masculine soul is looking at the core for the feminine essence, whether he knows it or not consciously. That's what he's looking for. Now, a distorted masculine soul won't be looking for that, because they are probably stuck in some distorted feminine energy too, and in people pleasing and some other things like that. So, but the ones that are very much in their masculine and in a healthy sort of self union, naturally they will be gravitating to the feminine that is embodying this sort of, authentic, genuine, mild yet fierce feminine, the wild woman, right? And like I said, for me, I would really embody that by really staying true to my inner child, to my emotions, to my feelings. I won't be afraid to express them. I won't be afraid to say who I am, and just continue to be authentically me. And it has such a powerful impact on others around. I have so many people say, I'm so inspired by you, or just on a day-to-day basis. I don't even have to talk, and I might just walk through the park and I'll have, because the energy speaks for itself. And I'm telling you guys, it's incredible. And this is why it's a big topic and a big theme that I think I really will be pushing my stories out there, this narrative, and sharing a lot on this, because it's where the new earth blueprint and the new paradigm for love is very much the structure, the foundations of that are coming from an embodiment of true feminine energy. We need more of that, and then we're going to create a better balance, right? And we need that, and it all starts with us. And that is another reason, and I've said this before, but it's another reason why a lot of feminines were awakening ahead of masculines, because there was more work to be done. And we are the embodiment of light. So we rise up, and like I said, right, feminine energy, light within. So because we're the dominant feminine soul, more so, we rise up, we awaken, our light shines, and it shines so brightly that it starts to help the enlightenment of the masculines. And then naturally, it's a bit of a dance, but those masculine souls that are aligning will naturally be gravitated to those feminine souls, and we then start to form these beautiful unions that are based on much healthier foundations. There's no codependency, there's no people pleasing, there's no I give to you in exchange for this. Souls are coming together in unions because it's from a place of love and genuine, I want to share with you and experience with you and embody this moment with you, not because I do this, you do that, and like we're going to be together because of this, and I'm going to behave a certain way or look a certain way or do my hair a certain way, or I don't know, put fillers in. I don't do any of that, by the way. I'm not even wearing makeup, guys. Nothing. So, and you guys know what I'm like. But being you, not trying to change yourself because you want to fit in with society. You think that's how you're going to be accepted, and you need to look a certain way, right? Or you need to do certain things, behave in certain ways, say certain things, follow certain groups, movements, listen to certain music, wear certain clothes, whatever it is, have a certain car. Like, these are all external things that are just going to go. They're going to leave your soul. They're not going to stay with you when you move on. And I do believe the soul is going to the next place, right? And there is more soul growth and more experiences. So anyway, I think I've stressed that point, haven't I? Got a bit carried away. But it's your feminine radiance and your sense of feminine presence that is real, that is high value, and an intangible gift that you can give to not only your man, but to your children and other family as well. So this is not just about me saying, oh, you're exuding this feminine energy so that you can have, can attract a lovely masculine and have a more sort of balanced, healthy relationship, of course, but it transcends, it affects everything, everyone that you're connected to, even in your workspace. And I've noticed that myself in my work environment, because I am who I am, and over time it's actually created such great connections, healthier dynamics, empowered others, and brought together more harmonious ways of working. And I want to talk about the concept of actually being around other women. Women with the more dominant feminine soul, right? As we're stepping into more of our feminine, it's really important to also share that with other feminines. Now, not everyone's going to be on the same page, but you have to discern that. And it's good to experience it. But the more you're around other feminines that are on this journey to like be more embodying of their feminine energy and bring that balance, you are magnifying that impact not only for yourself but for all of you. And it's beautiful because the more you're around other feminines that are unapologetically themselves and embodying who they really are, you not only feel healed, but you also feel the inspiration to want to be more of who you are. And I do find that because I've been doing a lot of this, when I'm around other feminines, they really love being around me, especially if we get on and then there's a definite like, I can't wait to see you again and let's spend time together. And it's really beautiful. And we do need that. So, if just to my ladies, if you sort of, because I know that spiritual awakening can make us go through challenges of losing friends and purging and, social circles change. But, even if that is the case, know that you can align with the right souls. And, there might be a bit of a period of where you have to be a bit alone, but put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I think the more that you sort of emanate who you really are and just figure that out bit by bit and just showing up as what you like, what your passions are, what makes you tick, what's really at the core of you, naturally people just gravitate to you, whether you meet them at the gym, in the coffee shop, at the park, at work, on holiday, whatever that is. And literally I said all of those things because I've met so many people along those journeys, and I'm pretty sure there's some of them listening right now because I've met them in those places and we still stay in touch, and it's beautiful. And it doesn't mean I have to talk to them every single day, but there was just a great exchange there. And of course the feminines in particular that I have met, some of them I've met some recent ones recently in the last month, and they all came to my event, and it was such a beautiful moment. And even that in itself was feminine energy coming together, and I thought it was really powerful. We had men there, but I felt that was even a more healing experience for the men to be in that space as well, but healing for all of us to have men and women together. We had more women than men, but I think that was like reflective of what I've been saying, of the way things are evolving. It's, it's a leading journey of the feminine rising up, but it doesn't make us any better than the man. We're all equals. We are all one. We are all interconnected. We are the same, right? So, feminine energy needs to be seen for its radiance. And so if you're a feminine at the core, then a deep desire is to be seen, like I said before. So, I've mentioned this, you're the light at the very core, and it needs to be seen. So the idea of simply being light or being the ocean, that is the feminine. It's made wrong of the understanding of love in many ways. In other words, many women think that they have to do a lot or achieve goals to be worthy of belonging and love. Now that's an old narrative. It's an old distorted way for the feminine. You don't need to do all of that. And I personally have learned this because I didn't realize that, right? And I had to go through awakenings, go through self-awareness and development to realize that actually I just have to be me, look after me, and everything else falls into place. You meet the right people, you align with the right people. Some people come, they go, yeah, okay. Don't hold on. Don't try to drag things out. Allow whatever needs to fall away like the petals of a rose naturally as they drop. There doesn't need to be any struggle or destruction in a harsh way, antagonizations. Things can just evolve and change, like seasons change. The leaves drop off trees. Allow whatever that means in terms of leaves in your life, whether people, circumstances, beliefs, situations, to fall away naturally. You don't have to go out there going, I'm going to get on my rifle and start blowing it all up. I'll be like, Steph, you're crazy. But yeah, so we really have a big opportunity here, and this is why I'm talking about how we're exuding this feminine energy, doing the sort of activities to connect to our feminine, and I talk about that in another episode, is a way to start cultivating it. But to exude it, there's things that we want to be cognizant of. So in order to exude it, we need to allow ourselves to be free flowing, full of life energy. This is sort of like the ocean. Just allow ourselves to flow and just be watery, whether fierce, calm, or flat. And stimulated by praise, feminine energy is actually one that looks for praise and recognition, and there's nothing wrong with that. But not by I'm gonna do this and I'll do that and I'll do this and I'll do that, and then I want you to give me the praise. It's just naturally being stimulated by the praise for being who you are. Simple. Today I got complimented as I walked through the park. Didn't say anything to anyone, but I got stopped and I received it and I thanked the ladies. But it was beautiful, and you start to experience more and more of that. It's absolutely beautiful. And feminine energy is moved by love and emotions in an intimate relationship. It's it's the masculine energy that's more directive and impersonal and goal orientated, right? Without feeling. So that's the difference. But in a relationship, it's really much about love and emotions and really connecting on a deep level and being ready to be vulnerable. Now, I know women, ladies, girls, feminines, divine feminines, goddesses, queens, empresses, after being in some relationships and getting hurt, it's not easy, right? You're like, oh no, I've been there, I've done that. I don't want to do this again. So it's hard sometimes to want to be vulnerable, but I believe that we can all do it. And in order to experience full true love, we have to be willing to be vulnerable. So it's like, I'm sure all of us want to experience true love and really be with a good divine partner, but we have to be able to want to allow that vulnerability. And yes, there is a risk in it. It might not work out, but you have to go in with that vulnerability and not holding back those emotions and just being you, without controlling things. It makes small things big, whereas masculine energy will make big things small and kind of like take away the focus on it. Feminine energy will allow small things to just be noticeable and really allow that to shine. That's the light. And a feminine doesn't necessarily need to go, hey, look over here. Even the smallest things will just be noticeable, and it's just beautiful because it's exuding that feminine energy. It's all about the now. Feminine energy is about here and now, and actually really being mindful of your breathing patterns, your body, and how your body feels. Feeling into your body is the most feminine you can be. And I love yoga. And there's yin yoga, which is very much the feeling yoga, more slow yoga, stretching yoga. Allows you to open up your body, breathe the energy and oxygen into the areas that sometimes are not opened up as much, especially like into the hips where we hold a lot of emotions. But you also have quite active yoga, like sun salutations, and then you have these vinyasa flows and things like that. And that is a bit more of the masculine. But regardless of the style of yoga is very much being present. Because the way yoga is, you have to really be. I don't know anyone could do a good yoga session and enjoy it without being present. Every time I've had a fantastic session, whether it's a full-on yoga piece where I'm like going with a sequence and several flows and I'm sweating, I've been very present and I'm breathing through it, because in order to do those postures you need to breathe, so you are very present. But it could also be going for a walk and just really listening to nature and being present and just cognizant of everything around you, taking note. Today I was walking through the park and I thought it was beautiful how the trees, not every tree was the same colour. You could see the change from us leaving the summer into the fall and the different colours of the leaves, and I was just in awe of all of the sort of colourful transitions in those leaves, and it just looks so beautiful. And I was just watching the different leaf stratas, let's say, and listening to the beautiful birds, and that was a very present moment for me. Feminine energy looks for love, whereas masculine energy will look for problems to solve. So sometimes in our distorted feminine, we might just be overly driven by a masculine, trying to solve problems and thinking by solving problems and saving people, it's love. It's not love. It's the need to sort of try to please and to try and prove that we are doing something that then allows us to be worthy of love or worthy of the recognition. So I think those areas are really a good way to just ensure, if you're just trying to think about how am I supposed to exude this feminine energy, you can kind of like self-check. But I mean, I'm not saying go around and have a checklist. I'm just saying be more aware of the traits that embody embody that real feminine. But the first step to being your high value feminine self is to now begin the process of making every single part of you okay. Like, are you okay with every single part of you? It's, are you feeling good about that? And so the step one is making every single part of yourself okay, is the sexual parts, the angry parts, the happy-go-lucky, as well as the, the egotistical parts, the sensitive parts, the overwhelmed, cannot do it anymore parts, the masculine parts, the feminine parts, the depressing parts, all of you, everything that you're made up of, your imperfections, the good, the bad, the ugly, I like to call it. And the people you see around you that judge and hate, I mean, that person or those types of people, they also have been you or part of you at some stage in your life. So, your dark feminine is just as valuable as your light feminine. So embodying that as well, right? So especially when it comes to being emotionally attractive to men and forming and that coverted feeling of emotional attraction between you, so just allow yourself to really just be unapologetically you, as long as you're not being rude and obviously there's boundaries there, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. And the second part of that is honor and respect every feeling you have. So when you make different feelings okay, you don't go out and start resenting men for triggering you for the way you felt. You understand that actually it's for you, or when you've had lessons to learn. I hear it a lot of times when women say, oh, it's men that the problem. No, it's not. He was just mirroring something in you that needs healing, baby girl. So this kind of like, oh, men are this and women are this, that's not solving it. Whatever frustration you have against a man is actually a frustration that you have within yourself. I said it. So when you can really not be frustrated with a man or understand that he is offering a mirror to you, you're actually aware, very self-aware, and able to really make the change for yourself and start to really move into your feminine more. So, you let the feeling happen because you know that this is life and feelings happen and things come and go and they're meant to happen in relationships, and it's not the guy's fault. Don't hold resentment. And the less you hold resentment and you allow things to flow in and out, and you don't take tabs of, oh, he did this on this day and 2 years ago, this, that, you let things go. You allow him to also let things go. It impacts the other person. So this is particularly when you're in a relationship, but even just with other men that, that you've got in your life, whether it's family, work colleagues, whatever it is. Men aren't always the perpetrators, or of how we feel. So we need to be very, very aware of that and take ownership for the way that we feel. And our hatred and resistance of our own dark emotions is the problem, like I said, because it's only being reflected into that man because it's something that we're not paying attention to. So we are kind of on a soul level asking to get clarity and shine a light to it. And it's just being shown to us through another soul. But, when we resist that vulnerability, and I'm coming back to vulnerability, that is left, actually as a combative self-defense response. So this is because our bodies are in the midst of perceiving a threat to our safety. So real safety, unless we are in real life danger or situations, is to feel how scared we are behind the tension and our need to blame men. So, we need to really understand what vulnerability is for us. But because we, once the feeling is felt and our bodies see that we are actually not about to die, or whatever that is, letting the feeling happen, we get to the next stage. So allow those feelings to come and take ownership of those feelings. someone might have triggered you to have that feeling. You may have had an argument, you may have had a situation, whether it's a romantic partner, another man, or whatever it is. Could be a friend, it could just be another girlfriend, whatever it is, a family member. But take responsibility of how it makes you feel and know that you are being triggered. They might have done, don't get me wrong, sometimes people do things that are disrespectful, and I'm not saying, oh, just let people off. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying really take the ownership and don't hold the resentment on the other. Let it go, let it flow, and feel into the emotions. So I hope that really helps you to understand, how to really not just connect with your feminine energy, but to identify with the ways you can exude it. I think you can definitely go to my other episode of how to connect with your feminine energy and types of tasks and sort of things you can factor into your day to day. Those are really great things. But then exuding it is also then being able to want to show up in the world as you and setting that intention. And I think another takeaway, leave behind that I'll say to you all is if you really want to be in your feminine and exude that feminine energy, set that intention every day or every so often that you want to exude your true femininity, your unique femininity. And when you can also say it in affirmations, I exude my true, authentic feminine energy. I exude my true feminine, both light and dark feminine energy. I honor the light and dark feminine within me. I honor my true femininity, flaws and all, the good, the bad, the ugly. I honor it because I know it's beautiful. It is respected. It is acknowledged. It is loved. It is it's embraced. It's devoured. It's divine. So I think that's about time for me to make a wrap because I quite like that ending. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sending you lots of love, light, peace and abundance and all of my exuded femininity and beautiful feminine energy. Mwah. Love you, Soul Tribe. Until the next time, see you later.